What's going on, everybody? It's McCreepers, and welcome back to another video. Today is going to be the anime Vanguards tier list video that I mentioned in my community page a day ago. Quick warning, this video is going to be longer since I will try to give an explanation for the positioning of everything. So if you don't care what I have to say, feel free to skip to the end of the video where you can see all the units. And one last thing I want to mention is you probably are looking, you see, if you see a unit more than once, that means I think they are both a good. They do damage as well as being support. So let's get right into it. Hakura Rin, she's just a good support. Igris, I feel like he's going to be an A tier because I feel like he's still a really good mob clear since he's fully OE on his last attack, and he's also still pretty good for bosses since he does plus 30% damage against bosses in this kit. Alucard is going to be probably borderline S tier. His damage is, well, yeah, I'll give him S tier since he's bleed, and with the proper bleed team, it's gonna be, the bleed team is the best team in the game right now. Vegeta, is gonna be our second S tier. No one is better at killing bosses than him. As well as the fact he's the best starter unit for in the game, no questions asked. Sasuke here, he's gonna go into C tier. His damage is, my man was talking about damage for Sasuke here. His damage ain't great. There's really nothing much to him. I think, did I not put him on here twice? God damn it. All right, well, we're just gonna put him in support. Then I forgot about that. But damage wise, he isn't great, but he does do stuns. So yeah. Obito, we're gonna put in B tier. Well, he does do a lot of damage. I'll just say B tier. I might move him up to A tier depending on how I feel. Sunjin Woo is going to be our next B tier unit. He's just not as good as he used to. His summons are really like the only thing that's good in this kit at this point. And as a support to Igris, other than that, there's nothing really you should be using him for. Naruto, he's going to go into D tier. They're better unbound units. His damage is not great. He's still usable if you really don't have anyone else, but you really shouldn't be using him at this point. Shaheen, she's going to go into C tier. Her damage is decent, but she does do crit. Well, I would say her damage is actually really bad, and I think she has like the lowest actual like damage in like out of any mythic other than like Itadori, who I didn't bother putting on the list because who the hell is using Itadori? But she does do crit, so I'll give her that, and she's also sometimes useful in tournaments since she has a massive, her attack radius is really big. Medusa, I said, no, this is Medusa. Another B tier unit, I think her damage is solid, and her ability, here I'm just gonna, I'm putting her in support as well. Since her ability does freeze units, and you can select what area gets frozen, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, her ability is in a global cooldown, if my memory is serving me right. I have the wiki pulled up, so let me just check this out real quick. Alright, it doesn't even fucking tell me. Alright, well, fuck me. Yeah, never mind. It's a local cooldown, it's only 15 seconds, so that's why I think she's a pretty good support, all things considered. Archer, I'm gonna say is top of B. No, I'm gonna get A. Say A, actually. His damage is he's essentially a better Shaheen. Just the attack radius isn't as good as her, but he has the same amount of crit, but like plus I think like 8,000 damage. I remember. So I think I'm gonna put him bottom A tier. Then we have Medea. I think, well, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I haven't watched Fate. I don't really know much about Fate. I remember her damage being pretty solid. I think the main thing here for her is going to be she's going to be another support unit. I mean, because she removes like any form like enemy like buffs essentially. The best example I can give is for the JoJo raid. The enemy, I don't know what they're called, but the really tanky enemies that only take damage against like water and like nature. She can remove that, which is why I believe that she should be, considered usable. Not to mention, I don't think her ability, it doesn't tell what her ability does. That's yeah, I can't see. And she also transforms or converts three enemies into I guess essentially Sun Jin Woo clones is the best way I can say. Saber, she's gonna be top of A tier. Come on, come on, right, there we go. She has the highest DPS in the game right now, as far as I know, and just recently, like I think yesterday, they changed her ability. Instead it does like, I think it does like three, let me look, no daylog. Yeah, so she does 300% damage now, or not 300. She does 4 times her damage now, instead of 3 times. So she has, I think, highest like damage potential in the game. It's just she's circle AoE. Johnny, he does decent damage. I'm saving for now. Well, I think I'm actually gonna move Obi to the top of B since his burn's actually pretty good. But Johnny, he does decent damage, and he's also gonna be another support unit since of his ability. It essentially just stuns units in place. It does have a pretty long cooldown, and it is global. Is the only problem. I can't remember. Gyro, sorry. Gyro, once again, I think is another pretty good damage unit. I'll be honest, I didn't. The only JoJo unit I have is Dio evolved because that's a secret like exclusive unit. But I know he does pretty solid damage. I think he like drops balls that do like 20% of his damage or something. So I know he's pretty solid. Next up, we have Choso. Choso is gonna be, I think, his actual damage isn't great, but he's a full AoE bleed. So I'm gonna put him B tier, I think, for now. Bleed and burn are like kind of tied in like overall damage potential, but yeah. And then we have JoJo, once again, kind of same thing. He's a burn unit. I feel like that automatically makes him better than like a lot of the units, unfortunately. Toto, I think it's gonna be another C tier unit. I'm gonna put him in support. I don't even really think his abilities like, I don't really know anyone who actually uses his ability. And his damage isn't that great either. You have Akaza, gonna be another C tier unit. His damage is underwhelming. His ability is underwhelming. Everything about him is just really underwhelming. Next up, we have Tanagan. This might be an interesting position, but I'm gonna probably put him bottom of A tier because he is a full AoE unit, which we actually don't have that many of currently in the game. I think that alone puts him pretty high up there. Not to mention he hit whatever his element is. I think it's like, I can't think of it at the top of my mind, but whatever the white element, him and Vegeta, I think are like really the only 2 units that have that element. So that alone, and that's kind of also why he's going up there. Apparently put Cheyenne on there twice, that's not intentional. But Sakura support, Crocodile support, Killua support, removes ailments, slows, and stuns. This is a random screenshot. Then we have Toji. He's actually pretty good. He's both good for, I would say, damage, like crowd clearing, and for killing bosses, since of his ability. I wouldn't say that. Oh yeah, his damage is really good. And he's good for killing bosses, and he can clear mobs pretty easily too. Not to mention he gets rid of shield, which is also why I put him in meta support. That's a really overpowered ability. Especially, I don't really know if people use him in Paragon that much anymore. I haven't done Paragon in a long time, I'll be honest. Then we have Okarun. Yeah, he's gone in C tier, I can't lie. He's just not, once again, I'm just gonna say this now for the other Danadon units, they're all just underwhelming. They don't do anything better than other units. They don't do like more damage. They don't do nothing. So yeah. Next up, we have Rengoku. You see him; he's gonna be a support unit as well as, I think, just B tier. He just doesn't do enough damage to put him any higher. Honestly, his damage holds him back, but however, he does have Purgatory Flames, so that does make him usable. And that being said, I'll probably I'll say move JoJo up to bottom A because of that. Obito will stay at the top of B. 'Cause I don't think I don't. JoJo has an ability, Obito doesn't. But yeah. Next up, we have. Again, I forgot her name. Sorry. But another Don unit, mediocre everything once again. The only like big like saving grace about her is she's a nature unit, which is actually a while put her on top of I guess C2. Well, no, because she's more useful. Yeah, this for the record, I've been putting these in order. So, but yeah, she is this nature unit, and there's not many nature units. So there you go. Next up we have Granny Psycho. She's gonna be bottom of B tier. She does do burn, so once again, burn team is viable mainly because of Rengoku alone. Without the Purgatory Flames, she's yeah. And then next up we have our next B tier Don unit. He's gonna be P Weenie. Sorry, I didn't even say his name. I think I'm actually gonna put him above Medea and behind Johnny because his damage is actually pretty good. His AoE isn't the biggest, but his DPS is good. Not to mention, he's one of the few water units in the game. I think he's one of 2 usable water units. I may be wrong, but I know there's Julius. So yeah, the fact that he's water, that's kind of up his score a little bit just because there's a lack of water units in the game. Next up, we have Dio, and I remember his damage being quite underwhelming, all things considered, which is kind of typically the case for exclusive units. Not to mention, I remember him being kind of expensive to max out fully, but he does have a cheap time stop, albeit long cooldown for that time stop, but his time stop is really good. So he will be going in support. Next up, we have Gilgamesh, who he's not S tier, but I think he's better than. I'll say he goes there because his ability is really good. It's essentially just a nuke, obviously, if you don't know. The problem is his first passive, he loses damage as if it isn't like a fate unit. I think it's like Saber and Ish are the only units that like he doesn't lose damage from, which honestly, he's not fully elite either. This is probably gonna be controversial, but he does have a nuke. So that's why you go in an A tier. But I don't know if I like the fact that he loses damage if there are other units that are not from Fate in there. Next up, we have our other nuke unit. I think he's gonna go pretty much right next to Gilgamesh. He's the only really complaint I have with Sukuna is he doesn't do any status effects, other than his bleed amp. Now that I'm remembering, that probably could have done to support, but the problem is he loses that once you get him to Flame Arrow. So, I mean, other than that, he has pretty decent damage. He has a worse nuke than Gilgamesh, since he's literally just... These 2 units are literally the same. Like, I think if you kind of, like, look at their kit, it's almost, like, identical. Their last attack, I think, is the same AoE cone, or degree cone, and they have the same, like, type of nuke. It's just, I think, the cooldowns are, like, slightly different. I don't know why he's up here twice. Then we have our next S tier unit. I think Gojo, obviously, he kind of just did. I think it's the biggest range in the game. He's full AoE. He does a shit ton of damage. So everything about him is just good. I'll be honest. And obviously, time stop is really good, and it's only on a 60-second cooldown. And since he has such a big range, obviously it's good. There's nothing really. The only bad thing about Gojo is his SBA, but what can you do about it? If you had any lower of an SBA, there was like it just wouldn't be fair. Honestly, for most of the units in the game right now. Next up, we have Valentine, which once again another unit I don't have. Like I remember looking at showcases, he seems to be decent since of his ability. Like Another Me, I think he makes like a copy of himself that does like 40% of his damage. So I'll put him in A tier. Like I think he does like around 30k damage. Next up we have Ishtar, who's gonna be both. I'm gonna say she's actually A tier. And that's because she has a nuke. I'll say actually she's gonna be. Let's say she's a bottom A tier because her nuke alone, she does have a nuke, which I saw was kind of interesting because her actual damage itself isn't like her damage herself is like kind of bad. I actually remember, but her nuke, she does have a nuke, so that alone I think pushes her up to A tier. And then she is also a support unit for the Fate units. Um, so yeah, obviously she's gonna go into support. And then we have Lancer, who real quick, let me go pull up another image of him because he is gonna be support. And since he has rupture on like attack 7, his actual damage once again I remember isn't like super great. That being said, put him on top of B tier because the problem is he's like he's a worse Vegeta but does more like overall damage. So maybe he's he's a worse Vegeta. Like that's literally what he is. Mm, I'm thinking about it. I'll say maybe here. I think that I like that. Like his, I know his damage is solid. It's just not great. I don't think he's. I think he is actually multi-hit on his last attack, but he's not fully OE. And then obviously there's the rupture he does. Then we have, I can't think of his name right now, but really good burn unit. I think he's, in my opinion, my go-to burn unit since he does have the highest damage from any burn unit in the game, I believe. Um, Not to mention, like I said, if you construct a burn team right, he'll be really good. And then we have Julius, who once again he's one of the only other water units. He's the only like really good water unit in the game, and I think I'm gonna put him in front of. I can't think of his name, but his damage is actually really good for a support, like a slow unit. I think I know like mine is I think like around 34k max, which is like I said for a slow unit, that's pretty good. Especially like when you consider like I know like I'm trying to think like Archer does like 20k. But then again, he has his ability too, which I didn't even mention Archer's ability. Like, where I still don't know what that is. I think it's like a mini, like a nuke of sorts. And then obviously these pictures don't matter. But this is kind. I think I'm kind of satisfied with this tier list overall. Let me like I'll kind of like just do a little summary. S tier is these 3 units because they're the best of the best. I don't think anyone like outclasses these guys. Like they're all do like their own thing the best. Like Alucard has like a really good ability, and like overall his kid is like really strong in the sense he's like he has everything. He has full AOE. He has a status effect. He has ability. He has everything. There's nothing like he doesn't have. Vegeta is just all around best boss killer, and then kind of that's. I'm not gonna really go over much in like the rest, but I think I kind of already said what I wanted to about most of the units. I'm just like looking real quick. I think like Obito can make a case for like A tier if you really wanted to, since his damage is pretty high for even for a day 1 unit. But yeah, I mean, overall, this is what my tier list is. I think gonna look like. I'm pretty happy with how I think it turned out. Let me know if you guys what you guys think. If you would put a unit somewhere else, or maybe you disagree with where I put a unit. Like I know Fry Shahane's gonna be a really controversial one. I know some people like think she's good, and then like I know a lot of people still think she's definitely fallen off. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.